So I told the band, don't worry, they'll loosen up. So don't prove me wrong, right? You know, you guys traveled cross country, traveled cross island. It was probably the hardest part of this event to put together the guest list. But we came up with a really simple rule. And the rule was, Emily and/or Adam should be able to see you from about 50 feet away and know who you are. So you are the really special people in their lives. I want to talk a little bit about Emily. You've heard this story, as my grandfather said, I've heard this story 20 times, at least. So when Emily was in 3rd grade at Germantown Friends School, she had a wonderful teacher named Margaret Fleischer. And we had to go for parent-teachers conferences. We were kind of these helicopter-ish parents. That wasn't a term at the time. But truth be known, we hovered around a little bit. One child, you know the deal. So we attentively went into the 3rd grade class. We sat in those little chairs. And we listened to the teacher. And we thought, okay, so this teacher is going to tell us, you know, she's quiet, she needs to speak up a little more, because teachers didn't always get her, right? She says, you know, I can kind of sum up my comments about Emily in just a few words. Emily is a really good citizen. You know, there was nothing she could have said that would have been better. Because we knew she was a good citizen at home. But this idea that someone else sees your child the way you've learned to see her is really very significant. And those of you who have children know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you listen closely, there's a theme coming. So Emily was a good citizen then, and interestingly, she has always been a good citizen. She went through all those periods where people say, oh, my kid, they're overtired, they're this age, they're that age. But, you know, she wasn't always perfect, but she was always a good citizen. She was a good kid. And she continued to display this sort of gentle leadership. She was kind of a quiet, gentle giant. You know, she was the captain of her tennis team. But that's not because she was a great tennis player. This was a Quaker school. So it all had to do with collaboration and consensus, but she was captain of her tennis team. She excelled in college. She had a great career at Penn. She had a wonderful business career. But through it all, she never forgot her social conscience. And she is a beautiful, beautiful, she's a beautiful example of what we feel our family ethics, our family values are about, combined with her Jewish education and her Quaker education. All three of those you can see in her life. She used to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches early in the morning with Kate J, and I think Kate Jaffe, and, right? and they would distribute those sandwiches. And even now, she does mentoring. She hasn't forgotten. She understands the idea that you can do well and do good. And that's who she is. So what happens when a good citizen goes out into the marketplace to find a husband? Any guesses? She comes up, she finds a really good citizen. Duh. She rejected a lot of not good citizens. Nice people, but they were not good citizens like she was. And then she finds Adam, who is the emes, a good citizen, for real. He's a good citizen. He's smart. He's really smart. Talk to him for a little while. He's passionate. Ask him about lobster rolls. He was a varsity sports player. He was a fencer at Duke. He's brilliant, is really what he is. And you actually remind us, Meryl's father, Earl Fleissig, a great deal. It's uncanny how much you remind us. Very special. So he's really well-rounded. You can talk to him about anything. He has an opinion about everything. And he'll share it with you. And we liked him really from the first time we met him. We really liked him. Nice guy, engaged with us. He was terrific. But I'll tell you when we fell in love with him. And now, here's the theme. We fell in love with him when one day he said, "You're coming to New York. Could you meet me a little early? Because I want to talk to you." And he takes us for a walk around town and tells us how important Emily is, how she changes his life, how she makes him a better person, how special she is. And the two of us just kind of followed him around. I'm looking at the street sign saying, like, where are we? You know? There is nothing more special than seeing your child through the eyes of their beloved. Our friend and Rabbi Bill Kuhn encourages us all the time. Pay attention to those events in life. Pay attention to those simple events in life that are not so simple, that are so significant. And that was one of those profound moments that we experienced. We still talk about it. I'm talking about it now. So Adam, you heard a little bit about our parents tonight. You know, our parents are a big part of our life. We are sad that you never met them, but you'll hear stories about them. You've started to hear stories. You'll hear stories through the years. Emily will hear stories about your grandparents. I think I knew our parents enough to know what they might say. I'm a psychologist. So, Graham Pearl. Graham Pearl is Meryl's father, Earl Fleissig. He would have said, he's smart. He came from Providence. He had a British accent. He's smart. You know, he was a classics major. Then he'd have said, smartest husband she married today. Poppy Saul, my dad, Saul Brotman, he would have said, well, that's what he would have said, well, you know, he's a successful attorney with a top New York law firm. You know, Cyrus Vance was a partner in his law firm. Grandma B, my mom, B. Brotman, she would have said, my Emily. She's marrying a nice Jewish boy from Westchester with some nice family. And Grandma Bev Fleisig, she'd cut right to the core. She'd say, he's tall, dark, and handsome. They would be so thrilled. They would be just so thrilled to know you and to see the connection between the two of you and to connect with your family, your lovely family. So we want to leave you with some wisdom that was shared with us 39 years ago when we got married by the rabbi who married us. His name was Gene Lipsig. And he reminded us that there was something even more important than choosing the right mate in marriage. And we thought, what's he going to say? He's standing there. What could he possibly be saying? But he said, you know, more important than choosing the right mate is always being the right mate. So may the two of you have the courage to always be the right mate. Aye.